Driver!
Oh, God. Oh, what's gonna happen?
Why is President Biden afraid of China?
The president is not afraid of China. Well, did you see the president last week when we went to Ukraine, went to Kyiv? This is not a president that's afraid of anything. It was a historic trip that many of you said was brave. So clearly, this is a president that's not afraid to go to a war zone. He's not afraid to go there when there's no military presence on the ground. So there's nothing that this president...
So you just wander in a doctor's waiting room,
yeah,
and if he just said, drop your pants a minute, you just let a doctor just do what he wants. Question it. What are you doing? What are you about to do?
I'm assuming because he's a doctor, and he is a doctor because he's in the place where doctors are, if he thinks it's right that he should check anywhere, I'm going to assume that he's doing it for good reason. Yes, what's your worry?
Mistakes happen.
But what's your worry? Why wouldn't you let
Well,
a
it
doctor...
happened once when I went in with, like, a little growth, and I didn't know what it was, and the woman said, drop your pants, and I did, and she said, right, where's this growth? And I said, here. She went, right, pull your pants back up. So question everything, actually, it's safer. Question a lot.
Where we had a chance of gaining our independence, and no part of the Scottish community would feel threatened or isolated or disregarded or not appreciated. And that strategy, and that's what it was, I thought this was well understood. I thought everybody who wanted to see an independent country understood that you must open your heart and your mind to every part and section of that population. But to get to a position where you say to a majority of our people that you cannot have single-sex spaces prized and worked and strived for because of some daft ideology imported from elsewhere and, as we've seen, imperfectly understood by its proponents in Scotland, borders on the totally absurd. And the 6% decline in independence vote over a month, think about that, 30 years of gradually building.
You can't see me. Well. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Ben. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. How are you? I'm just looking at the chat. Frankie says, have a bald spot. I'm skint. My hair is too long. The kitchen scissors are coming out. What a good way to start the chat today. That's interesting. Hi, Frankie. Hi, Natasha. Hi, anybody else watching. I can see a bunch of you watching there. And let's evangelize. Let's share this. Let's get people coming in from the get-go. But John, what you been up to this weekend? Then you've been watching Formula One, haven't you?
Yeah, I was watching Formula One. Quite enjoyed it.
You want a bunch of illiterate men driving cars?
I don't think they're necessarily illiterate.
They're just
I
like
did quite enjoy
footballers.
it.
They're just like footballers.
They make considerably more money than footballers.
Yes, yeah, they probably do. They probably do. Right? I don't enjoy the sport. I don't even consider it a sport. But I'm glad that you do. I don't really enjoy much, to be honest. Despite the fact I am the fun one, I'm quite a cynic, and I'm turning further and further into a cynic as the weeks go on, John.
Indeed, Ben. Indeed.
So
let's start, shall we?
let's start and let's get our little pre-roll underway, because you've been in a little bit of a conversation, haven't you?
Mike
Last couple of days.
Mike Yardley starts off with, I can't get a decent conversation on here because of all the bots, right?
Right.
So he then says something about Putin being a bad man. Yeah, okay, we know Putin's a bad man, and I replied thinking, okay, let's try a bit of conversation. On the same vein, Biden, Sunak, Macron, Johnson, etc., right? Because I'm not, Trudeau and everybody, all that, are not good guys either. And if you think they have your interests at heart, then you are mistaken.
Correct.
And then he comes back with, I don't, but they did not make their initial career in the Soviet secret police.
Well, what does that fucking matter? Excuse my language, you shouldn't be swearing. What does that matter?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, let's just as a matter of interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Putin has maybe killed 400,000 or 500,000 Ukrainian soldiers so far. Right? It's a lot of people. Okay,
a lot of people.
But to put that in perspective, United States of America has killed 400,000 civilians since 2011. Since 9/11.
Yeah, you're absolutely. But John,
civilians.
John, it's America. It's okay when we do it.
Team America.
You know what
Team America, world police.
These people.
America.
Unfortunately for Mike Yardley, he's such a flip-flopper, right? And I'll say that he is a flip-flopper, because some moments he can be really, really good on a subject, and then he's also the type of person that will say question everything, question the mainstream narrative. I am a journalist, blah 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 blah, right? Or a broadcaster at the very least. And then in the other breath, he'll get to this kind of narrative and he'll go, well, the media are telling me that this person is bad, so therefore this person is bad. And he's right, this person is bad, but you're right. And what does it matter where he got his career started?
They're all bad. They really are.
Anyone that wants to be in power is probably a bad person. If they want that power...
If you think that Putin is more evil than Macron, or more evil than Boris Johnson, or more evil than, dare I say it, Mr. Trudeau, right? Then I think you're mistaken, because I don't think Putin's necessarily evil. He's just another bloody world leader who is swinging his weight about, right?
Yeah. They're all arseholes. It's one massive dick measuring contest.
Actually, to be a bit controversial, he's the only one that's actually told us what he's going to do and then done it.
I mean, Joe Biden
told us he was going to do it.
No. I have to give Joe Biden credit on this, right?
What?
I have to.
Give him what?
Joe Biden has done this. He has told us what he's going to do, then he's going to do it. There will be no Nord Stream 2.
Well, yes, he did. But, I mean, Joe Biden also gave Putin the go-ahead to invade in the first place, remember?
If it was a little invasion.
If it's a little invasion, we might not take any action.
Just a little invasion.
Okay, let's just have a little invasion. Let's go for it.
Guys, let's just have a little invasion. Are you making waves once again on Twitter, John? You naughty man.
You know, I just don't know. I mean, sometimes it's difficult, isn't it? Because, you know, and then people keep going on about sides. You're not on our side if you think
there isn't a side.
There is. Yeah, I know.
The only side that I'm on is the truth, right? And wherever that truth is led to, and that certainly means that sometimes I'm going to call people out that would be, you know, when people look and say that we're on a side because people perceive us as on a certain side, I'm going to call out people that are on that perceived side. I'm going to call out people who are not on that perceived side. I'm going to call out anybody who's bullshitting people on Twitter. And it's as simple as that. And not just on Twitter, anywhere in the mainstream media, whatever. I mean, Andrew Neil's a great example, and I'm sure we'll get into him a bit later. But he's a great example. You know, these people rewriting history as we speak on the fly.
Yeah, it's like, hold on, it was only 2 or 3 years ago. You know, our memories aren't that short, are they?
They're not. They're just rewriting history, hoping that people will forget.
Speaking of rewriting history, what do you make of this?
Okay, let me move to the next slide. Yeah, this is. Oh, Daddy, you've done all of those wonderful things for Extinction Rebellion.
Is this not nepotism on a grand scale?
Of course it is, right? But Stanley somehow managed to sort of reinvent himself as a lovable rogue with the public, hasn't he?
I don't know how.
I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here.
Was he on that?
Yeah, he was a few years back. And everybody loved him. Everybody loved him.
Sometimes I really just... In fact, I think we are living in the end times. I think this is the end of Western civilization. It's just going to be a long, slow grind.
Yeah, well,
until it destroys itself.
Thank TikTok. Thank TikTok.
Well, I don't think you need to thank TikTok. I think you can thank ourselves because I think we've done it ourselves.
Well, yeah, you could be right in that respect. Anyway, fuck Boris. John, introduce the show.
And then with that, I'd like to welcome one and all to this episode 204. 204 of Chasing Dissent Live with me, John.
More of you should be watching.
And Ben.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
Well, there's no avoiding it. We're going to have to go there.
We're going to have to go there for most of this show, I imagine. It's unfortunate, but it's the news that keeps on rolling on, isn't it?
Right. So
it's the gift that keeps on giving. Hit that like button, by the way.
Let's start with this one, right? So Oakshot, or whatever her name is, goes, "Oh my God, car crash TV. Hancock has approached lawyer Jonathan Code to sue me. An utterly bizarre performance. Code went on GB News, accused GB News of outing him as Hancock lawyer, only for GB News to produce email in which he literally asked them to do so." And then she deletes that tweet.
Well, I didn't actually watch that interview. I never got time to.
No, you said you were going to while you were having your bath.
I had hoped to.
While you were preparing your beautiful self for the show.
Jesus Christ, John, this doesn't happen in 5 minutes.
Jesus. Yeah, but you were on your bath for how long? Half an hour?
Probably at least, yeah.
Yeah. And
I was having a snooze.
He bills us for this, people. He bills us. He puts this down as preparation time for the show. He's sleeping in the bath. He's just about soup when he comes out.
I'm like a prune.
Don't go there. I had visions of that shriveled black thing being thrust into my mouth.
Trudy, hold on. I want to move to the chat because Trudy says, "Hair looks good, Ben. Thank you very much." And John is looking rather fresh.
That's unusual because I could do with a good wash. And a shave.
Just take the compliment, John. Take the compliment.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
I would, yeah. And Natasha says there's nothing wrong with a long, hot bath.
There is nothing wrong with it, but he bills us for it.
How could I bill you for it when there's no money?
Because you will bill us for it when there is.
Oh, yeah, I definitely will, yeah.
So he's put everything in place already.
John's accepted that that's part of the day. Right. Yes, I did watch Chris Rock's new stand-up Beats Crates. It's hilarious, actually.
Well, I think I might have had a blip in the... Right. Right.
What are you done?
Yes, I'm done. Don't go to... I've reordered the slides slightly.
I'm still on the Isabel Oakeshott one.
Right, so the one after that should now be slide 6, which is Norma Lee speaking.
Yes.
Right, so Norma Lee.
Yes. What are we looking at here? With regard to Hancock wishing to scare the pants off people, here is the Terrorism Act 2000. I would refer Mr. Hancock and the rest of the perpetrators to Section 1 and C.
Yes, well, basically, you're not allowed to put people into a state of fear and alarm by telling them things. So apparently the government may have breached the Terrorism Act, which is good, but do we really think anything will be done about it?
Do you know what? I've been suggesting this for over 2 years, John.
Ben, right, this is the part
I've been suggesting this for over 2 fucking years.
See, this is the part I don't quite understand, because do you remember they've just put it out again recently, the one about Boris Johnson saying, you know, well, it looks to me like, you know, 80% or something of the people over 80 will survive and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it was sitting on this morning.
Yeah.
We'll take it on the chin, yeah.
Yeah, and he did say that, because that was reported at the time. And nobody bothered paying any attention to it except us and maybe some other people.
Chris Whitty said the same thing.
Yeah.
Chris Whitty said the same damn thing on TV.
So there's really nothing new in here. And if you think these clowns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk like that behind closed doors. Then I think you are really, really thinking that you are governed by people who are completely different from what they are, because these are all entitled pricks.
Listen.
Who just mock you at every turn. They really do.
Listen, we sort of had a conversation the other day where people were suggesting, even John said, can we verify that these are real, right? And I made a bloody good point about the news of the world, didn't I, John? Because this is on the front page of the Telegraph. Mm-hmm. And we don't trust the mainstream media.
No, we don't.
Granted. But the mainstream media are not stupid. They are calculated. They're not stupid. Right, and what they do is when they're going to put out a front page like that, we can refer back to the news of the world when Piers Morgan approved a front page of our soldiers pissing on Iraqis.
Mm-hmm.
It was fake. It wasn't real, and that pretty much ended the news of the world. It wasn't phone hacking. And it was that.
It should have ended Piers Morgan at that point.
Yeah,
I mean the man's a proven fraud, and yet he still gets a worldwide audience. He's a scumbag.
They all are, John.
Yeah, I know. But
they all are. But the point I'm making here is, if it were fake, if these messages were fake, and things like this are going out on the front page of the Telegraph, then surely that's the end of the Telegraph. I don't think they're stupid enough.
And what gets me is people go, well, that doesn't look like any WhatsApp I've got. You don't see faces, but it's a fucking recreation of the text. That's all it is, people. I mean, I did it in a video. I did it in a video, one of the shorts. I made like a fake freaking text conversation because it's just how you do it. People do things like that to show. It doesn't mean it's not real or that the conversation never happened.
Let's bring up the next slide, because I am seeing people think that this is meant to be a very serious and straight conversation. This is Matt Hancock taking the piss. This is how I read it.
Yeah, and Silas has brought this to us, and I quite like a lot of the stuff he does, but some of the stuff I think, is he's gone too far here, right? So, I mean, as you said, I think this is Hancock taking the piss, and Silas seems to think this is real. And I don't know why.
I mean,
Because
if you just look at the other stuff.
Not everything's a conspiracy theory. Or in fact,
Yeah.
actually, I should rephrase that, because everything is a conspiracy theory, because it appears to be these
Not
days.
everything is a psyop.
Yeah, but it appears to be these days, if you have a contrary view to what is the, not even just the popular, but the accepted narrative, right? Mm-hmm. Regardless of whether that contrary view is based on science or opinion or evidence or anything, as if you've got a contrary view, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's just a label to denigrate people and to shut them up. It's
And
just
to
you're just
discredit.
trying to shut people up.
Because you can't engage with their argument, and people could never engage with the points that we made on a level playing field because they knew we were right at the end of the day. But
And Silas's next slide, right, actually is exactly what I've just been saying. Mm-hmm. And we were called conspiracy theorists for no good reason, just because we had a differing opinion.
And do you know why they called us that? They called us it because, let's face it, to the vast majority of people who literally open their mouths and let the shit fucking be spooned in by the mainstream media, it works. You say, this person is a conspiracy theorist, and they go, that person is a conspiracy theorist. That person, you know the NPC meme? They are that. And it's unfortunate. That is the vast majority of people.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't mean to denigrate people, and I'm definitely not denigrating people who want to come here to agree or disagree with us, right? But I'm saying that the vast majority of people, the last 3 years especially, should tell you they literally, if the TV or a newspaper or a magazine or whatever, or the internet tells them to do it, they're going to go and parrot it, and they're going to go and do it. They're not going to ask the most basic, relevant, hard-hitting questions, or even just the one question that should be asked of anyone telling you to do something. Why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, Natasha's bringing up a lot of good points in the chat here. You know, she really is. The Diamond Princess.
Wonderful woman.
The Diamond Princess was a prime example. Prime example.
Well, it was a litmus test.
Yeah. And it was just brushed under the carpet, wasn't it?
And it was mostly old people on the Diamond Princess, I'll have you know. Right? It was basically an oldies cruise.
Yeah, well, and of course, most cruises are.
Yeah, and it was the litmus test. People should have seen what did and did not occur there, and taken it as, I mean, let's face it, when we go to these WhatsApps and people are going, oh, we need to stop focusing on these WhatsApps, and I don't, is there more about it going forward? Because there is stuff I want to say, but I will save it if we've got more.
Well, the next one is about WhatsApp. Ninny D brings up the point that, you know, they were told not to use WhatsApp, but they were obviously using it. Now, the thing is, it doesn't matter whether it's a leaky app or not.
Probably got better encryption than anything else I use.
Probably.
But
the thing that gets me is there's a number of points here. One, Hancock is not the master of this. Hancock wasn't the leader of this.
It's Michael Gove, by the looks of it.
Well, it shouldn't. It should have been Boris Johnson. He was the fucking Prime Minister.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he though? Was he ever the Prime Minister?
Well, he was the Prime Minister. Yeah,
because this is the man.
Like you said, let's go. No, don't give me any shit here. There is no way Hancock was making decisions. No fucking way.
So why on earth did Johnson go like that from sitting on this morning going, we all need to just take this on the chin? That's not how we do things in Britain.
Wasn't Hancock. Wasn't Hancock. I don't know who it was, but there is you cannot convince me that fucking Muppet was in charge. Really?
I mean, his name.
The guy can't even he doesn't even know there's a camera in his office. And that was a setup as well. The whole thing is bullshit. Bullshit. Hancock, I don't know what the fuck Hancock's still getting talked about for. Because the guy should be in jail, right? And it's never going to happen, but he should be in jail. But, you know, the whole system is broken. And this is a prime example, because here we are arguing about fucking WhatsApp messages, right? From a bunch of public school boys who are taking the piss out of us on a daily basis, regardless of what the thing of the day is, right? Because this isn't the first time they did it. It's not the last time they've done it. I mean, all you need to do is look at Ukraine. I mean, that's another fucking bullshit story, right?
Look, I don't trust the motivations of Isabel Oakeshott, right? With this whole situation, because I want to address the situation as a whole, because a lot of the chatter that I see on Twitter at the moment is that we should pay it no attention. It's completely meaningless, right? And to an extent, I think they're absolutely right. I don't trust the motivations of Isabel Oakeshott for doing this when she's had these messages for a year, and all the while she held on to them, she goes through his book, right? She did that for free.
Right. So when did the book come out?
The book came out in December.
Right. So she's taken at least a year to write that book, I would say, right?
Yeah.
So she's had those messages for more than a year.
Yeah. And they've been in the hands of the Telegraph. The Telegraph have been working on this story for 2 months.
Right. So the question is, first of all, just put yourself in this position, and I want you to try and role play here. You're Matt Hancock. Okay?
Hello there, Isabel.
Right.
I'm a little bit close to you at the moment.
Yeah. You're a creepy fuck, right? But you're having an affair. Okay?
Yep.
With someone.
Yep.
Yet you give all your WhatsApp messages to your ghostwriter? Do you really? Do you?
Very odd, isn't it? The whole thing's very, very, very odd. But the point of the matter is, people say this is meaningless. And do you know what? To the vast majority of people they're either not going to believe it, because I actually did this test on my grandmother and she doesn't believe it, right? So they're not going to believe it, or they're just going to go, well, it's over now, it's happened, it's done, move on. Now, I think there is something here. Now, what I think is here is not what most people will think is here, because I think what's here for me, for you, for all of the people that just sat here and read the data and came to evidence-based, common sense conclusions is vindication. That's what I think is here. And if we can take anything from this, I think we can take at least a moment to say we were always right. You know, we tried convincing people we were always right. Here it is in black and white that we were always right.
Yeah. But then you've got the whole other bunch who, as you said earlier, are saying it's all a psyop.
But do you know what?
Not everything can be a psyop.
Not everything can be a psyop.
It's like, if this was a psyop, right? What's it going to achieve? But what's it achieving?
I'm sure the people that saying this is a psyop will come up with an answer for that, right? I'm sure they'll have an answer for that.
I'm struggling to find out what it's designed to achieve.
Well, what I want to say to people who wholeheartedly think that basically everything is a psyop, what I want to say to you is, if you genuinely think like that, and I'm not going to say things aren't a psyop, right? That sort of thing obviously exists. I mean, the last 3 years were basically one massive psyop, let's face it. But if you live your life completely like that, then how are you ever going to find any happiness? Because you're just going to be constantly paranoid, constantly looking over your shoulder. Now, I would say healthy skepticism in every situation is probably extremely healthy, but just look at multiple sources, come to your own conclusions on things, and try and move on and try and have the best life that you can have. Because if you just live constantly in fear that this is a psyop, that is a psyop, everything's a psyop upon you, how could you possibly live a happy and fulfilling life? It's just a question I want to ask. Natasha says Occam's razor is helpful, and I agree. Occam's razor, the simplest solution, is more than likely the correct one.
Frankie's point is interesting. A loss of faith in one's government. So my question to you would be: when did you ever have faith in one's government?
Once again, a very, very good question there, John. Very good question indeed. Now, I'm not denigrating anybody who thinks everything is a psyop. I'm not denigrating you. What I'm saying is, surely there must be a point, a cut-off point where you say that not absolutely everything is a psyop. Not absolutely everyone is out to get us. And many people are. I mean, let's face it.
Well, it's like, and this is off topic. It's like all these fires and meat producing plants in the States, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you dig into it, there's a lot of fires in the States every year. And, if you start looking for things, there's a good chance you'll find them. And humans are really, really good at finding patterns where patterns don't exist. Because we're programmed to look for faces and patterns.
Have you ever seen the Jim Carrey movie, like The Number 23, I think it's called?
Yeah, well, I mean, well, even all you need to do is look at 33 and look at the amount of times that we end up with 33 views.
Yeah.
We
did it. We did it.
It's spooky. Or 666.
We put that extra view. We put that extra view on to make sure that the Illuminati saw it was us, John.
Yeah, like concurrent viewers. It's always 13. It's always 13.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Is this a psyop?
Well, what I will say is there are considerably more viewers than there are likes. And John, get the fucking boys on the phone. Just get them on the phone right now.
Get the boys right. Did you ever imagine you would be Dick Tracy one day?
Yeah, yes, actually.
Did you? You realised that you'd be able to speak into your watch?
Yeah. Do you know what? I just need the hat. I just need to get a good old.
So
let's move on.
This is actually quite interesting, I think, from David C. Bannerman here.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I actually agree with Nadine Dorries.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like the other day I agreed with Ash Sarkar, and I mean, what the hell is the world coming to?
I don't know.
So how can a senior civil servant number 10 have meetings with the leader of the opposition without declaring it?
Right,
this is heading towards Watergate levels, and I think there's a bit of a point here. Because civil servants are meant to be completely impartial.
They're absolutely meant to be completely impartial, but also remember, this is the woman that led the so-called Partygate investigation into number 10.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that investigation should have ever happened because I don't think parties should have ever been illegal, right?
No, they shouldn't have been.
I think they should have been brazen about it and gone, well, of course we're going to have parties, we're not fucking stupid. But no, this woman led the fucking investigations while she was having secret meetings with Keith Starmer. Now, Boris Johnson, I think Richland as well, and a bunch of others got prosecuted and fined for their parties in conjunction with Sue Gray's investigation. And then Currygate happened, and all of a sudden Keith is completely in the clear, isn't he?
Yeah.
Even though Keith did exactly the same thing.
I know. It's just like, I really don't care. I find that whole thing was a bit of a psyop. It was just a distraction technique to.
Oh yeah, the whole thing was
to keep us away from looking at real data and real things that were going on.
And it also was to reinforce that the rules were really, really needed, right? Yeah. And you really did look. Even the Prime Minister can be fined for disobeying these rules. You peasant, you must obey.
Yeah.
That's basically what that was, right? Oh, Militant Mushroom wants to know if Keith is slipping there one eye. Well, he would not have great standards if he were. I would say that.
I think even Wayne Rooney might be knocking that one back.
Oh, 'tis I, Michelle says, come on, you farmers.
Listen very carefully. We'll say this only once. So, yeah, they've done it again. They're still at it in Belgium. and
this is
in Holland and places like that.
Yeah.
And in fact, I saw a tweet today from a farmer saying they were milking their cows for the last time because the government had forced them to close their dairy farm.
Yeah, but the governments are not backing down on this, are they?
No, they're not. They're not.
They're not backing down on this. And in fact, I think in Belgium, things might be accelerating rather than...
Yeah, and this is part of the... I don't understand what Western governments are actually trying to do, because they seem to be driving society into the ground.
Yeah, into the ground.
Yeah, I mean, because it doesn't... Who does this benefit? I mean, it's like... I mean, if you believe any of this stuff about climate change and all that, do you really think eating cockroaches is the way out of this? Really?
Look, they just don't want you to get above your station. That's all this has ever been about. They don't want you breaking out. They don't want you having autonomy. They don't want you being self-sufficient. They want you reliant and good little slaves, good little drones in your place. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That's what most of the governments want.
That's the aims of government, aren't they, Ben? What are the two aims of government?
Control the population.
Yeah, that's it. Feather the nest, control the population. What else does the government do?
And like Militant Mushroom says here, it's also just a land grab. It's a massive, massive land grab.
Yeah, but
these are the people.
But the thing is, why? Right, so this is the part I don't get, right? Because if you're a Westerner, right, and you... Why do you want to see your way of life destroyed? This is the part I don't understand.
Well, brainwashing mostly when it comes to the people on the streets, like the Extinction Rebellion lot. They're mainly loners. They've got nothing to belong to. They've been brainwashed. They've been love bombed into joining these cults. That's really what it is. But they know not what they do for the most part, because they're all idiots.
They are all idiots.
Teresa says, do you ever wonder if there's something going on that we don't know about? There almost definitely is.
Yeah, probably.
Almost definitely.
It's... Sometimes I get quite despondent on our shows.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to bring back the entertainment, the lightheartedness, the flair. But I'm really
entertainment. Right,
I'm really struggling.
Speaking of entertainment, let's see, Lockett brings us this one. Definitely something odd here. Big name pop stars turning down the coronation celebrations, and now the USA president unlikely to attend. Well, as far as Biden goes, let's face it,
he'd probably be dead.
I was going to say, his brain is already missing. So the chances of Biden knowing whether he's turning up or not would be slim anyway. Look at Happy Chuck there. Look at that face on him.
What's that? You want me to go to King William's coronation chicken?
Part of his coronation is going to be what? A reading from the Quran. I hope he's not going to use the one that poor guy in Wakefield's getting death threats about now.
I still don't. Right, we'll go into that in a bit, I guess, or after this story if it's not in the list. But the thing is, like, people moaned that Ed Sheeran had turned down the opportunity to perform. Yeah, but that's because on the day he's booked on tour and has thousands of tickets sold for Texas. He's not just going to cancel on his paying fans to come and do this. There's no conspiracy there, right? The kid just wants to do his obligated and already funded show.
There's always a conspiracy.
There's always a conspiracy, John. I'm looking over my shoulder. They're out to get me. They're out to get me. Jesus Christ. But yeah, speaking of that kid in Wakefield, right? Yeah. I need to reiterate this point about this scuffing of the Quran. It was his fucking Quran.
It was his book, yeah. He bought it.
It was his book. Yep. I'm sorry, but if he wanted to sit there and rip it out page by page, it's his property. He can do with it as he damn well pleases. And at the end of the day, we do not live, as Suella Braverman said, we do not live in a country with blasphemy laws. And you never really see me agreeing with politicians.
Yeah, I
know,
but
she's right.
She was right. And then some fucking plonker of a barrister, right, goes, well, actually, there's blasphemy laws in Northern Ireland. And what Suella Braverman actually said was, we don't have any blasphemy laws in Great Britain.
No.
And the last time I checked, Northern Ireland was and has never been in Great Britain.
That's why we call it Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Yes, that's why it's called the United Kingdom of Great Britain
Yes.
and Northern Ireland.
And Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Great Britain is only Scotland, England and Wales. That's it.
Look, between me and John, we've got almost 100 years worth of wisdom here, right?
Fuck off, you knob.
Am I wrong?
No. Unfortunately, you're not.
Am I wrong?
You're not.
We're 93 years worth of wisdom, worldly wisdom between us, John.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Use it.
I thought you were bringing things up. Now you brought them down again. I'm back down. Right.
John,
anyway.
John.
Ben.
You look absolutely wonderful for a 75-year-old.
Fuck you. I'm not 65. Right.
I said 75,
Oh,
John.
75. Aldo here says this little meme, and I thought this was quite good because just to put things in perspective, and I know we're banging on about not everything is a conspiracy, not everything is what did we say? Not everything's a psyop. But these things were all labelled conspiracy theories.
Of course they were.
And they were all true. They were all true.
And they were all things that basically, because of the evidence being displayed to us, I subscribe to.
Mm-hmm.
I subscribe to every last bloody one of these. And yes, I subscribe to the Wuhan lab leak theory. And yes, I believe there is a respiratory virus. And I know that some people don't. And guess what? That's okay too. You're allowed to have your belief. And on
certain platforms.
But my point is, I'm not going to denigrate those people who genuinely believe there's not a respiratory. Some people say viruses don't even exist.
Oh, well, I mean,
if that is their true belief.
We have discussed this on a number of occasions. This is terrain theory and germ theory, and I think both of us kind of fall in the middle. That there's a little bit on both sides, yeah. But you know, if you want to go down one side,
you filthy fence sitter.
Yeah. If you want to go down one side or the other, that's fine. You know, you're entitled to your opinion, and as long as you're backing it up with reasoned argument, you know, no one's going to give you a hard time. Well, we're not going to give you a hard time about it.
Well, we're not going to give you a hard time at all, no. But all of this stuff is evidently, in my eyes, true. Okay, and it has been for pretty much the whole time they've been a thing, and it's like. I'm going to try and say this without getting in trouble with the with censorship gods, right?
Careful now. Careful now.
So, let me try here. What's more likely? In fact, I'll pose you a scenario and I'll ask you a question and I'll leave the answer up to you. A pangolin or bat from a wet market that doesn't sell pangolins and bats produced a respiratory virus that in Wuhan, China, that infected the world, or the level 4/level 3, if you want to say that, biolab that was doing experiments on bat coronaviruses in Wuhan, China, produced the bat coronavirus. Which is more likely? You decide.
Yeah, it's just a question. Just a
question.
Yep.
Because that is the question that I've always asked since the very beginning. Let's not look at this big red flag and red herring. Don't look over here at the market. The market.
I'd never even heard of a pangolin before this nonsense started.
You need to watch the South Park episode where Randy starts COVID.
Maybe I need to start watching South Park. Maybe I do. Anyway, I've seen a pangolin now, and they look a bit like an armadillo.
Like an armadillo, yeah.
Yeah, and just as an aside, you know you're in a foreign country when you're driving along the road and there are dead armadillos at the side of the road instead of hedgehogs.
Yeah.
Or badgers.
Look, like I said, I'm not going to draw any conclusions here. I'm just posing the two scenarios, and you can decide which one is probably the 100% most likely one. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway.
You're right, okay. That does sound wrong, the way Militant Mushroom has phrased that. They block their fingers at the whip mark.
That's why he couldn't walk, John.
Yes, that's why. Anyway, moving on to John Arthur. Moving on to John Arthur Ryan here. There's a common tactic in public discourse that is very disingenuous. And there might be a theme out of this episode here. It's the X-hated group says this, or things like this. As a result, such things are off limits in public conversation. Or if you say anything that is similar to the X group, you're by default one of them. And I mean, that's exactly what's happening in today's society.
You've been called far right and far left in the space of one day.
I have. I got accused of being a far right and then was later accused of being far left.
And this is why I have been so careful this entire time to not marry myself to a group. Right? We did. Well, actually, we made that one mistake in, founding, setting up, providing all of the talking points and the website to the UFP.
Well, right. So, and this is where I say, I don't think we went into that doing anything wrong.
I don't either.
I went into it understanding that this was to be an alternative regulatory organisation.
That's exactly, because me and you were starting, in the process of starting such a thing anyway. We were just drawn across, weren't we?
And it wasn't meant to be an activist group. And I certainly...
Or a content producing group.
Yeah, exactly. It was only meant to regulate. And now it seems to be a media group, which is fine if that's what you want to do. But don't bring people in telling them it's one thing and then become something else without due process.
Well, that's what happens when your dictator decides to turn on the people who founded his organisation for him.
So I think it's now a kind of organisation without portfolio because it doesn't know where it wants to be.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And they're signing up people as quote unquote journalists who evidently are not journalists and never were.
Yeah.
Which is, it seems to be the ego of the dictator wants to tie himself to as many quote unquote famous people as possible. In my opinion, that's what it appears to be anyway.
Right.
But this tweet here is absolutely correct. And like I said, this is why we try and stay away from groups.
Yeah.
This is why we try and stay away from groups, because groupthink is a problem. Individuality, individual rights, individual freedom, individual thought are the most paramount things on this planet. Because if your individuality is stripped from you, like they want to do to us, and I say they, the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, if your individuality is stripped from you, how can we ever find that next great artist, that next truly great scientist, that next truly great political, independent, free thought thinker, that next great filmmaker? How can we find these people if everybody is just stripped bare and told you are essentially a drone?
Yeah, it's quite disturbing. And before we go on to the next one, that's a new one from Funk My Star. I haven't seen you before, but you're right. I think you're 100% right there. I think it was the NIH and Fauci himself that was doing it.
Well, let's not make absolute.
No, I said I think.
I believe.
I said I think.
You are correct. Yeah.
I think means that's my opinion. Okay.
Yes,
right.
John.
Now, moving on to the next. Now, this is quite sad. Okay, so I'm warning you now, right? Because I was going to be a little bit flippant to start with, but it's turned out not good. Okay.
Is it not ended up good?
It's not ended up good. So we have these three girls were missing, right? So this was the initial post that came out. Desperate hunt for three women, all 20, who disappeared on a night out to Cardiff, right? And I mean, I actually sent you this last night and said were the old Disney princesses, because they have got so many filters on their bloody camera that I think you'd be hard pushed to recognise them in real life.
I think you're right. I wouldn't actually recognise these people.
But you came up with a theory that's turned out to, well, maybe to have been right or not, but it appears they were in a car crash. God. 3 people are dead, and 2 of them, they've all been found. 3 of them are dead, and 2 of them are in hospital. So I don't know who's who. That's the thing.
There's been a drink drive incident, hasn't there?
I said that's an assumption, but it appears the car went off the A48 and was involved in a road accident. That doesn't mean it hit something else, right? It's either we don't know. It's now speculation, but 3 of them are dead. I don't know which 3.
It could have just been a crash. You're absolutely right. Trudy says the one on the right looks like my daughter. I hope it's not your daughter, for one. No. But for 2, first of all, John, your initial thought was absolutely correct. With these sorts of images being released to people, how are you meant to recognise them on the street? Because it's not every picture that's taken of this absolutely glorious face. I know I never smile really in my pictures, and people comment on that sometimes. In fact, one of my followers for years, her name is Jen. She goes, "I always love your facial expressions in pictures because they're never smiles, right?" But they are a true representation of what I look like. Whereas if you go to the next slide, and once again, we've used the same images here.
Yeah, these
are not true representations of what these young women look like. Now, the young men in the photograph, they probably are true representations.
Yeah, they look fairly accurate, probably.
But it is an impossible feat, isn't it? If they were still missing, to recognise these people in a crowd, because this is not what these people look like. This is not what they look like, and it frustrates me to no end. It really does. This whole filter thing. Natasha says I don't get the whole filter thing, but the whole filter thing is simply to try and make yourself look better, isn't it? Just to beautify yourself.
I'm filtered the fuck.
I mean, look. This is they use Instagram filters. I use the bath.
If I was a tall vein, I wouldn't be using a high resolution digital camera.
Well, the thing is, at the end of the day, I don't give 2 shits what people think I look like. My wife loves me.
So speaking of wives and high resolution digital cameras, we're going to have a bit of a diversion on Friday.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are, and I have endorsed this as well. So please, John, please do tell them what we are doing what you are doing
on Friday night. We're going to have a live guest
instead of me,
instead of Ben. So it will be me and Andy.
And for those of you who do not know who Andy is, it's John's other wife. I'm his first wife. Right?
No, you're not my first wife. You're my work wife.
But no, and I believe you're going to do a complete setup around the table, aren't you?
Well, we'll see what we can do. I might stay at the desk and put a separate camera on Andy. I think that might work, because then I still need to switch. You know what I mean?
And I'll tell you what, we had Andy on the show before when they were in France, and they were in Van. No, and it was a great conversation.
Was it not when we were
you were in Yorkshire, weren't you?
Yeah, Yorkshire led.
Harold says, "Boo, I don't like change or strangers." Well, she's not a stranger to us, Harold. And she won't be a stranger to you after the show.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it back. I'm not going to be able to watch it live because I will be busy collecting content. No, I'm not out. Well, technically, it is a party. Yeah.
Vaseline on the lens. That's a cracking idea. Could smear the lens up.
I will be somewhere filming a special after hours event that the general public do not get access to until 3 a.m. On the Friday night. I'll be there from 9 p.m. till 3 a.m. French time, because I'm going to France. And if anybody would like to buy me a glass of wine, John, how can they do that?
They can do that through Ko-fi.com/Chasing Dissent. And if you do it live, your message gets read out on the air. And we had a very generous donation on Friday on All In.
Oh, we did. And I want to say thank you so
In
much.
fact, I think maybe we should turn the money on. You know, because it can show you how much people donate as well. Should we or should we not? We did have it on initially.
But do you know what? I'm quite happy with everybody being extremely transparent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, we don't get that much, but we did get a generous donation on Friday, and it would thank you very much. We appreciate it.
We really do appreciate it.
And we appreciate
really
everyone who subscribes to us. And with that, we're actually coming up with ideas again, because we used to do the after party, and
we did.
It wasn't greatly well subscribed, but we're coming up with some ideas for differences in how we do things.
So we're going to try something in a week Friday for anybody that's subscribed on either Patreon or Ko-fi to a monthly donation.
And possibly some selected people from previous guests maybe will be invited along as well.
Yeah. We're going to try, not this coming Friday, but the Friday after. We will be going live, quote unquote, at 8 p.m. in a special members only pre-show before All In, to not only talk to you, because you guys come in as well. It's not a show, it's a conversation.
Yeah, it won't be broadcast.
It'll
be you and us on a free speech, and you can tell us what you want to talk about.
Well.
You know, you can tell us what you want to talk about. We can have a chat about things. You can get us fired up. We can get you fired up, and then we'll go into the live show.
Natasha, I knew there was a reason I made you a moderator. I knew there was a reason I made you a bloody moderator. Yes, that's a brilliant name. Are you calling it the foreplay hour?
I like that.
We weren't until now. Now we are. I knew it. I knew it. So yeah, if you're subscribed to any tier, I think it's £3 or £5 or above on Patreon, and I don't know what it is on Ko-fi for the minimum, but you will be getting an exclusive link to either the Patreon page. I'll put it on a members only post every Friday at around 7:45. You'll get a link. You can click into that link. You can jump onto video conversation and jump in with us. And every Friday it will be going forwards. Also, we're thinking about dabbling in, and this is just for everybody, but if people are subscribed, you'll be allowed to talk. We're thinking about dabbling in some Twitter spaces, aren't we, John?
Right. Yeah. Well, and this came to me because I've been letting people know that their tweet has been selected for a talking point.
You do.
And we've had people come in and watch the show and things like that. And I'm thinking maybe we should revisit this afterwards, you know. And I was thinking, should we have a Twitter space later on where everyone that's been featured in that day's show then has a chance to say, well, you misrepresented me, I didn't mean that, or, you know, I watched it and you delivered that appropriately. So, you know, we could have a conversation and a discussion around it.
And that would be for anybody. And yeah, I'd come out into the studio, despite the fact that you have to do it on your mobile phone for Twitter Spaces. But I'd come out in the studio and stuff like that, and we could get into it, and we could also invite anybody that is subscribed for these platforms as a speaker if they wanted to be, right? So it's something we're considering.
I know what we could call. We could call the people that come to the Foreplay show the fluffers.
Oh yes!
Sign up and become a Chasing Dissent fluffer.
So Natasha, what I want you to do right now, if you've got a minute, is take that catchphrase and message it me on Twitter. Right? Send it to me in a direct message on Twitter, and so I can learn it word for word, and I'll say it every time we start the show. I'll say, we are here to warm you up
and stroke
you gently.
I like it. I like it.
I like it a lot. Anyway, let's move on.
I knew there was a reason we had a troll room.
I knew there was a reason we had a troll room, but then again, I also knew there was a reason we had a Natasha. I've met the woman on several occasions. I've met her husband. Right, he's a lucky man. They have 8 children together. She is a wonderful woman.
Well, that's okay, Trudy. That's okay.
You can come and listen to the Twitter space, Trudy.
Can come to the Right. Anyway, moving on.
It's just a special extra bit of content for people
Yeah.
to do go that extra mile.
Yeah.
Is what we are.
We're just trying to push the boundaries a little.
Push the
Try
boat
and-
out. Give you a bit more.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Like I'm going to give you a lot more on the second channel, and it's not politically based. It's going to be my travels. I'm going to give you a lot more on the second channel next week. I've got a lot of content to capture, and I've got a lot of content to produce. So, Beats Crate said you'll end up having loads more views from people that think the stream is something else. It won't be a stream.
Well, it won't be a stream. It would just be.
It'll literally
be a private members area.
Like a Zoom call, like a Zoom call or a Ring Central call.
Private members.
Yeah, private members only.
So Dana Wycliffe here says, let's make sure Andrew Neil knows that we remember the absurd things he said, and he did say some pretty absurd things.
He did.
Yeah, we were talking earlier. You were talking earlier about Andrew Neil, him trying to rewrite history.
Yeah.
And then you know what, Andrew, you were not on the right side of history on this occasion.
And you know what? I find this praise of Hennigan at this point suspicious, because he never praised Hennigan at any other point when Hennigan was going on Julia Hartley Brewer, right? He was at the beginning. He was going on her show and saying these reasoned, well-founded, evidenced things about masks, about efficacy, about whether or not we should be doing these things. You never heard the likes of Andrew Neil coming out and going, yeah, Carl Hennigan's probably right. But you did hear the likes of me and you going, well, Carl, I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm seeing the evidence you're bringing. I'm seeing your expertise and your qualification. Remember, this man is like the head of evidence-based medicine at Oxford University. I'm seeing what you're saying here. And then Andrew Neil would then go on to call people like me who were lauding the things that Hennigan was saying as cranks, as conspiracy theorists, as granny killers. He's rewriting history.
Yep.
These people are running for the hills. It's not just him that's doing it. It's the mainstream in general.
Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Live Aid.
Feed Ukraine! Do you know what?
Usual
I've already-
suspects.
Yeah, I've set Adam on the task, haven't I? What task have I set Adam on?
I don't know. I haven't seen the chat.
I've set Adam on the task of getting us all tickets.
Oh no, I'm not going to that. You wouldn't be able to stream that anyway. There's no way.
Even if we can't stream, we can record some hilarious stuff while we're there.
God, I don't know if I could go to that. No, because I would end up getting hit or hitting someone because I couldn't take. I mean, anybody that goes to that would be an all-in subscriber to the narrative.
Imagine going to that and wearing the colours of the Russian.
Oh Jesus!
I mean, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But
No.
think about the amount of yellow and blue that's going to be in that.
God!
group
Yeah,
that
you
night.
couldn't
Apparently,
do
the killers are doing it.
it's sad, isn't it? It's sad.
Yeah, but like I say, I've set Adam on the task of getting us tickets
Yeah,
so
and-
that we can go and
And
have
I think,
a laugh.
I think that from our very own Trudy, I think that sums it up better than anything.
Well, oh, don't.
What?
Evil aid.
Yeah, I think that sums it up more than anything. It really does.
Half your hair yellow, other half blue, Trudy says.
Oh, God, no. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to that. Even if you got me tickets, I wouldn't go.
I tell you what, I'll lay down the gauntlet right here. Right here. If we can get tickets, if Adam can get us tickets, yeah? If I will do it for £500. I will dye half my hair blue and half my hair yellow. So for a donation of £500 between I don't know how many people, so that me and Adam can have, a fantastic time while we're there taking the piss out of this thing, that is the price I'm putting down to dye half my hair blue and half my hair yellow.
Oh, good God. Right, okay, moving on. From Teresa. Okay. Now,
Is it our Teresa?
I thought, this can't be right? It is our Teresa that brought this up. I actually fact-checked this. That's right. Okay. So, Karen White, aged 52, right, has been jailed for life after admitting sexually assaulting 2 women inmates while being held on remand for raping 2 others.
Karen got hit with the ugly stick in life, didn't she?
This is just madness.
You fell out the ugly tree and hit every branch on the white.
It's just complete and utter. I just can't get my head. It's the end days. It really is. This is the decadence. This is the kind of decadence that 1930s Berlin was subject to. And you know what happened to Germany?
This look, we are reaching the end of Western civilization. Teresa says, "Come on now, it's a woman." Come on, look.
Oh God,
we need to respect Karen.
That was the other word, Karen White. Karen White.
You're a white Karen.
That's why I had to fact check it. But it's kosher. It's kosher. Couldn't believe it. Oh. Right, moving on. A different narrative brings up so the top Putin aide goes scripto on a spiraling monologue on Russian TV. Retired Colonel Igor Korochenko went on a spiraling. Do you notice how whenever anyone from the bad man's side says anything, it's always a monologue or a diatribe or something? Whenever we say things,
this is how I'm going to kill you, Mr. Bond. I will throw you to the laser beam sharks.
He's basically saying the Ukraine war has been run from London and the UK is complicit and you know, he might not be that far wrong, because remember, and we bring this up again, the peace deal was ready to be signed in April 2021.
And then Alexander showed up.
Alexander showed up in Kiev, spoke to Vladimir, and next thing, it's business as usual. And then Vladimir Zelensky, that is, then Vladimir passed legislation in September 2022, right, that made negotiating with Russia while Putin was in power a criminal offence. So where do we go from here?
I'm sorry, Putin, they're both called Vladimir. Zelensky has banned his opposition party, in fact had them arrested, did he not?
Oh, Medvedchuk, yeah, because Medvedchuk is the only, and actually I've recorded the stuff about that this very morning, but Medvedchuk Medvedchuk's Putin's pal. Putin's actually the godfather of Medvedchuk's daughter.
Right, but the point is he's banned his opposition. He's banned a Russian-speaking sect of Christianity.
But he's not only banned the opposition; he's made the party a criminal,
not a dictator. Not a dictator.
No, but he's made the opposition party a criminal organisation. He's put them all in jail.
Democracy.
It's not a democracy.
True democracy. Now, I want to address I want to address the chat here because Beach Crates asked the question, and I actually think this would make a great video for either channel. Actually, he says, "Have you guys gone to the Karen Diner yet? Have you heard about the Karen Diner?
Is this where they insult you?"
Yeah, it's in Manchester.
No, I haven't been there.
It looks fantastic. It looks like great fun, right? And I think it would make a great video. And I think it's something we should do. I think we should do like a Blackpool Manchester trip.
Okay.
Stick it on video and encompass that into it. I think people would love that. And in fact, if you live in the Blackpool Manchester area and we set some dates for this, then feel free to come and join us and have a laugh with us and maybe have Beach Crate says I think there's one in Cardiff and there's one in Huddersfield. So they're expanding.
Cool.
They're expanding their empire.
You could just go to any diner in Glasgow and get the same treatment.
Yeah, Trudy says I don't think it's funny. I just don't, in my opinion. I've seen some funny videos from in there. I think it's our humour, to be honest. I do.
Is it a bit like going to eating faulty towels?
You're gonna have to watch some videos.
Yeah.
You have to watch some videos.
See,
I mean, they do insult you. They call you names, but the food looks good.
Yeah, I don't know if that would work.
I do. I think it'd be a good experience. I think it'd be a fun experience and one that we can document.
Right. So, moving on. Blackjack Pupil 369 brings this one up.
Hi, Blackjack Pupil.
Hello. So Nick Sauter originally tweeted, the dam built in East Palestine to hold back the toxic waste has been destroyed by torrential rain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's caused toxic sludge to be released in some of the town's largest waterways. So this is, remember we were talking about this the other day, when they stopped pumping out stuff because it could cause contamination? Well, it appears that by not pumping it out, they have definitely caused contamination.
Well, of course.
Now, I'm not quite sure, Blackjack Pupil, if you're suggesting that they made it rain more.
Yeah, that's what the implication, I think, is it. The implication is that they made it rain so that the dams would be destroyed.
So why do we want to toxify this town?
John. Remember,
I'm just trying to.
I'm not trying to insult or denigrate here, but this is clearly coming from a person that says everything is a psyop. I reckon. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, I like to give everyone a chance, and this would be an ideal one for them to come back at us and think, what's the reasoning behind it? Because if there's any reasoning behind it, then fair enough. But why do you want? I mean, one, we've seen the state of the railway system in the States. We've seen how many crashes they have every month, right?
Yep.
The place is a disaster waiting to happen, and those disasters happen on a regular basis, right? This one involved a chemical train. A lot of chemicals are transported by train in the States. They even transport nuclear waste and nuclear weapons by train in the States. Mm-hmm. So this has happened, right? People were evacuated and then brought back maybe too early, right? I think there's probably been a bit of a cover-up by probably the companies involved to try and
the government
to try and play it down, but it sounds like the whole thing's a complete and utter disaster. So why would they want to make it worse? That's the point.
Well, like I said, this is the mindset we can go back to, and the whole conversation we were having earlier in the show, that not everything can be a psyop.
Yeah.
It can't.
Yeah.
It can't. And to live your life like this is just. I'm actually worried about people who live their life like that. I'm not going to lie, because
do you remember the movie Conspiracy Theory?
I never saw it, but I know
Mel
of
Gibson.
I know of it. Yeah.
Right. So your task is to go and watch that movie.
Okay.
Okay. You should be able to get that.
Our Natasha once again says in the chat they can't even predict the weather, let alone control it.
Well, there's a point there.
Yeah, I mean, have you remember, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Fish?
There's been reports that there's a hurricane on its way. What nonsense!
People think there's going to be a hurricane. Don't worry, there isn't. Anyway,
and
let's
then, in
move on.
fact, Rennie from Hello, he got a 2x4 in the forehead, didn't he? Through his car windscreen. Sure. Yeah, I think he got quite badly injured. He survived and went on to continue acting, but he did get quite badly injured, and I think it was touch and go for a while.
My grandmother on my mother's side got a tree through the roof of her house.
Okay.
That happened. Anyway, Suzanne Seddon says, liar. To the Moderna CEO struggles to explain how his company patented the virus before Wuhan.
Well, they patented a genetic sequence that's exactly the same as what's in the
Pure chance, John.
The disease.
Pure chance.
He struggled. I mean, it is a video, so it's well worth going and having a watch, because
listen.
He's struggling to. He can't.
We all know bloody why, but it's pure chance, for the record. You know what it is. Pure chance. Everything. Pure chance. All of these people. Pure bloody chance.
Poor chance, I would say. Poor chance.
A Militant Mushroom says weather can be controlled was done before the opening ceremony of the China Olympics.
Oh yeah, but that was cloud seeding there. That's right. That was cloud seeding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, they did that quite openly. But my point's not that you can control weather. My point is, what is the justification for making the event worse? That's what I'm trying to get at.
And that's the point I think nobody's answering. Nobody's answering. Moving on, Minute Man says, that damn red pill kicks like a mule, but the rewards are truly immense. Admitting you got tricked by those who claim to take care of you is really hard. It will hurt for a while, but it's worth the pain. And I endorse that message.
I just thought that was a good message. And I give Minuteman the kudos for that. It's nice to see things that are quite uplifting at times.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm completely on board with that message, and I am seeing people come around. And I put out a tweet on Twitter, right? And I'll extend this tweet. I'll extend this offer right here on video to anybody in my personal life, and especially my old, people who I used to know, who used to interact with me on Twitter, but we did things in real life before, who wishes to extend an apology to me for the way that they have treated me, for the way that they have abandoned me, for the way that they treated me like absolute shit and called me every single name under the sun, including murderer. I will accept your apology. For the people that did this to us, nope. But you have to come to the realization that you've been tricked, and it will hurt, like this message said. It will hurt.
Yeah.
Because you spent 3 years of your life blindly thinking that basically you were going to die. But I'll accept your apology, and I think it's better if we move forward together than divided.
Speaking about moving forward, who did this? And that sounds fake, but well, I'm assuming it's fake, right? But it's so funny. I've got to give the Dark Side of the Yoon kudos here. Because you know who that is, don't you?
Please enlighten us.
That's Nicola Sturgeon's husband. That's Peter Murrow.
How am I meant to know that? I'm not in your neck of the woods.
Oh, come on. We've only been talking about him for the last 2 years. Yeah, that's Peter Murrow, who is currently the CEO of the Scottish National Party still. And we're still looking for the missing 600k. And while I'm on a roll, I have insider information.
Ooh.
Insider information from the yard that is bringing you those ferries, right? In Guruk. Guess what?
What?
They've got real windows now. No longer are the windows painted on. They have real, actual windows.
Wonder how much that cost you.
Ooh.
But I was going to say, if you look at the image, if we look at the image here, you can tell it is photoshopped. Because if you look at the stocking on the lower leg, you can see, right?
I didn't really want to go into it in that much detail, man. We know it's photoshopped.
I mean, even if that were his real leg, I mean, that would have been a fantastic...
That's a woman's leg. That's not a man's leg.
Yeah, of course it is. We're moving on to Right Said Fred. Oh, come on then, John. Say what you've got to say.
Right. Now, generally, I think Right Said Fred were pretty much on target for most of the stuff. Right?
Yeah, I do think they mean well as well.
Yeah, I think they do, and I followed them, and I thought, we had banter back and forth, and I thought even invited them on the show. They didn't choose to reply, but we're probably too small for them, or weren't going to offer them any money or whatever. But so they've come out on the back of Matt Hancock's stuff and said being a conspiracy theory is really good fun right now. We'll hold back on the told you so's for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Haha. Right? Because do we hold back on the told you so's for Right Said Fred? Because remember, Right Said Fred are the guys that blocked Chasing Dissent
Yeah, they blocked the Chasing
and
Dissent
called
Twitter
us
account
conspiracy theorists.
for simply suggesting that John Bowe did not have a legitimate charity.
And guess what?
John Bowe did not have a legitimate charity.
And that is not to denigrate John Bowe's actions or his intent, right? But what we were trying to do was stop him getting into trouble because he was doing things that are expressly forbidden by the law when it comes to setting up a charity.
He was. But the actual Chasing Dissent, which is Chasing_Dissent, the Twitter account, Right Said Fred blocked and called us conspiracy theorists because we simply pointed out that John Bowe did not have a legitimately registered charity.
And
but the thing is, John went on their podcast and said that he did.
I know he did, yeah. And they were quite insulting to us as well, telling us to watch this space and that we would find out to be complete and utter liars. And guess what, people? We weren't.
No, and the thing is, like John said, all we ever wanted to do with that John Bowe situation, and we've been accused of throwing him under the bus, all of that. And this is why we don't join groups. This is why we don't take sides, because we were very, very, very supportive of John Bowe's intent. Right? We want to see people who are injured get whole again. We want to see people who are injured get the help that they need. And we would like to have seen a charity or something along the lines to help those people. But we also didn't want to see John Bowe get himself thrown in the bloody jail.
No, we didn't.
And that's what he was. That's what he was leaning towards, and that was all we were ever trying to point out.
And we kept saying, "Come on the show and explain to us how it's okay." Because if it's fine, it's fine. But you can't just say you'll find out. Because we did find out, and it turned out we were right, and that's not something you want. When you're looking out for someone and you don't want them to go down that route, that is not what you want to find out.
Trudy says, the charity was suspect. Nobody can deny it. I feel sorry for Bowe. He shouldn't have mentioned anything in the first place. No, and he shouldn't have been calling it a charity.
No.
He should not have been calling it a charity because the Charity Commission have very specific rules. And there are very, very specific things you can and cannot do that are against the law. And all we were doing was pointing those things out and saying, John, if you are above board, if you are legitimate, if you are collecting money for an organization that exists, give us the registered charity number and please come and talk about it, because we would have promoted it if it was real. But
and remember, he raised 13 grand.
He did.
That's not an insubstantial amount of money.
I'd like to raise 13 grand.
Well, so would I.
But
you know what? We raise money for ourselves, and you can call us grifters if you like, but I don't think we are, because we ask for donations. Right?
And if people don't want to make them, they're still getting the shows.
And yeah, you still get the show. If you can afford to make a donation, then great, thank you. But we're not telling you we're going to spend it on anything other than ourselves.
Well, exactly.
Because that's what it's for. It's to keep the show running. It's to keep us fed.
Yeah, he's exactly right. And if we can at any point turn this into an actual business, we will make sure everything is above board, everything is transparent. Any income we will declare publicly via taxation and everything. We will always be above board and transparent with our audience, right? We don't have a business. We don't claim to have a business. We don't make an income from any of this. We're not a registered charity.
No, we're not. Far from it. Right, so I think Mr. Bembridge.
Good old James. Sent you a nice kiss earlier, didn't he?
Stop. So Mr. Bembridge has sent us, his tweet was selected because I think he's made the point here, and I think he's right. And he says, I think you've made the point for us. And this is a response to this tweet from JJ Wells. Drag is inappropriate for children because of all the sexualized costumes we wear as drag queens. ... Like this one I wear frequently. ... And you'll never guess who it's designed to be worn by. ... That's right. Children.
Oh, for fuck's sake, the self-awareness.
It's a children's dance costume. ... So, what was your point again?
The self-awareness is missing, JJ.
This guy's
You're wearing children's clothes.
He's never heard of irony.
Teresa says, "Can we do cash in hand?" No, we don't have a we don't have a PO box yet.
Well,
but
it depends how far away you are, Teresa.
But what you could do is, John, if you put in the chat the direct PayPal link,
Yeah.
there is a direct PayPal where you can just make a direct straight one-off donation.
Yeah, you can.
It's not in the it's not in the things yet. I need to add that.
It's on the YouTube stuff.
You put it in the chat though.
Yeah. PayPal.me
/ chasing this.
Chasing this. Yeah.
Chasing this. But yeah, no, the point here is made absolutely correctly. I think by James that you're sexualizing a child's dance costume.
Yeah, I mean, the guy has no concept of irony, and James nailed it on that occasion.
Yeah,
he actually,
and
to be fair, he kind of nails it most of the time.
You need to get back in contact with Benbridge because I really do want him on the show.
You know what? I'm thinking what we need to do is we need to do some kind of live lounge.
What with some guests?
Yeah, 2 or 3 guests at a time.
That sounds.
It's just
juicy.
a thought.
Sounds tasty.
Yeah, I thought that would be quite cool.
I tell you, once again, I am going to set something up very soon with Mike Huxley, the Bermuda backpacker. He's one of the biggest travel bloggers in the country. He's been on with me once or twice. He's been on with both of us as well. Registered and senior nurse practitioner, was totally anti-narrative, was, absolutely destroyed financially, I guess, by the travel industry being destroyed. He's written books. He's a very, very, very lovely guy, and I love having those conversations. I'm going to get him back on the show as soon as humanly possible. I know he's out on his travels right now, but when we can get him, we will get him. And we'll look for a slew of other guests, including you, if you'd like to. You know who you are.
So, Shadow of Five's former self on his third existence tweets this tied up goat. Now, if this had been Wales...
Oh, no.
If this had been Wales, I would have said a recreation centre.
No, I'm not even going to read the hashtags out because I don't want to get banned. Jesus Christ.
I do like to bring a bit of levity into the programme at some point. Right, so...
Trudy said Vaughan? I think she meant by you know who you are, but still, very well placed. Very well placed.
Yes. Elon Musk tweets out today.
I'm super pro climate, but we definitely don't need to put farmers out of work to solve climate change. Not at all.
Now, I agree with his tweet. Apart from maybe the super pro climate, because, well, it depends, right? You could read this on a number of levels, couldn't you?
Because I'm pro the climate as it stands.
Yeah, well, he's super pro climate, but he really doesn't think that there's a big problem, and therefore he'll keep doing what he's doing, right? Or he's super pro climate and he's trying to make a difference by producing all these electric cars that have an awful lot of dirty processes involved in their manufacture, especially the batteries.
Very possible, yeah.
Right, and the amount of plastic they use, which you can't make plastic without oil. You know that?
Yes, of course. Yeah. You can't make much without oil, to be fair.
You can't. And the super pro climate, and he keeps throwing rockets into the sky.
Yes, he does.
That use what as their primary first stage propulsion?
Is it kerosene?
Yes, it's kerosene. They call it RP1, a thermal, rocket fuel 1. But basically, it's the same stuff you put in a jet aircraft.
Yeah.
Except he burns a shitload of it in one go.
And not just when he puts his rocket in the sky. Remember, he's sitting there doing static rocket tests all the time.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right.
And what do you think he's burning there? Yes.
He's putting it on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, that man burns more. That man and his companies burn more... send more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere than we in a week than we ever will in our lifetimes. So
I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. I mean, and the thing is, if you ever want to go out and ask people, right? If you ever want to go out and ask people, how much carbon dioxide do you think accounts, or how much of the atmosphere is composed of carbon dioxide?
We know the answer to this.
We do know that. We know the answer. Yeah, the answer is 0.03%. Okay.
Basically, it's negligible.
Yeah, and if you then ask people, how many parts per million do we have of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere just now? And it's around about 450, okay?
Uh-huh.
And then you ask people, how many parts per million can we stand? And within, you know, I would wonder what they would say. In fact, chat room, anyone without Googling, how many parts per million is okay for us to breathe in? Any ideas?
And whilst they answer that question, let's move on to the final item of the day.
Is he the cheating spoon?
I've already answered the question, John. I answered it to you yesterday. What's his rap name?
What did you say?
It's Pudding.
Pudding. Could be.
It's Pudding.
Or he could be the cheating spoon.
It could be. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, what I would like to ask you to do at this point before we end this show is please, if you have enjoyed any segment of this show, give us a like. We would really, really appreciate a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget, the most important thing you can do is hit that share button.
Mm-hmm.
Share it out. Let people come back and watch it from the start. It will be here forever and a day for people to experience. And one more thing before I hand it to John.
I was wanting to add something about...
Go on in, you had.
It was just... And I'd like to ask a favour, right?
Oh.
Of you people. Because I know you're on the chat with us and it's great. I love the chat.
I do.
The banter. but see if you could just jump into the show after it's finished and put in a comment.
Yes, please
either
do
whether
that.
you want to ask us something or agree with something or disagree with something, that's fine, because comments really make a difference. So if you could stick a comment in there, we'd really appreciate it.
Yes, Trudy says, thanks all for making me laugh. Teresa says, thank you both. You are all... Well, thank you. Thank you for coming, 3 times a week to watch us chat shit for 90 minutes, 2 hours. We really do appreciate every single one of you, and we appreciate you no matter whether or not you do hit one of those donation links, right?
Yeah, of course we do.
We
because
just
if we didn't have you guys in the chat room, we'd be sitting here talking to ourselves. And you know what? We actually used to do that.
We did. When this first started, we'd just sit here talking to ourselves.
Yeah, because we'd go, look, there's one person on, and then they would disappear, and we'd go, well, we can't stop. We just got to keep going.
Right. Anyway, there will be a show of some kind on Wednesday.
Right. Yes. So we should cover that. Housekeeping. Yeah.
Yeah, housekeeping.
Right, so Wednesday's a bit of a difficult time for us here in the northern studio.
It is.
So we may not be able to appear.
We're hoping to be able to do a regular live show, but we're just not sure at this time.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, John will prepare the slide deck for me and I will do it solo. So something will happen, or we could pre-record it tomorrow night. We're not too sure yet, but I like doing it live because I like talking to the chat room.
Yeah,
so worst case scenario, I'll do something, but hopefully we can go with a regular show at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. Not looking likely, but there will be something, and then that's me away after that to get a shite load of content for the second channel. If you're not subscribed over there, please go over to The Swamp Adventures and subscribe, because there's going to be some travel, there's going to be some fun, there's going to be some hilarity, there's going to be, I think my friend just had a offer accepted on a house, so I think there's going to be celebratory drinking as well.
Drinking, dear.
And I will. Beach Crate says, so Wednesday is John's turn in the strip club. And at some point, the return of Henry.
Yes, definitely. Henry's he's getting a hard time just now.
He is. He's getting a real hard time. He's on his
hard
worldwide privacy tour.
Yeah. But
we want privacy.
Yep. Right. So with that,
hand it over to you.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you one and all for attending this episode 204 of Chasing Dissent Live. It's been great for you.
For you.
You can see the riding on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built